We saw the most violent fight ever at the airport the second that we landed in Ireland. I think we were in Belfast.
And there were so many fights in the street in Belfast too. Paige was walking down the street and she saw someone just like chugging a bottle of wine on their knees, took the bottle away.
They are violent. We were taking our luggage out, like putting it on a luggage cart in the street, and some lady went by. I'm like waving at her baby, okay? She goes, "God, you stupid c***s." I was like, oh my God.
It started with a street fight outside an airport, a drunk man swinging in slow motion, and a woman cursing out a stranger with a baby. For a second, it all felt like part of the chaos that follows Tana Mongeau and Brooke Schofield. But this time, something shifted. What began as a funny podcast anecdote became a global PR disaster.
It was crazy.
They are violent. They're so violent here.
Or looking at you, you smile, and then they smile and you look away. Like, people do not do that over here. I had a lady at TSA, she was just dead mean mugging me, and I looked at her and I was like, and then she wouldn't smile. So I just was standing there like the movie Smile, you know me, like I wouldn't break, just going until she would smile back at me, and she wouldn't. It took me like 10 minutes.
A simple story became a political issue and a full-blown internet war. When two of America's most controversial internet personalities branded Belfast as crazy, violent, and scary, it triggered a public response from the deputy mayor himself. The incident sent shockwaves through the internet, making headlines and sparking debates about influencer responsibility and cultural misunderstanding. To understand why this became so explosive, you first need to know who we're talking about. Tana Mongeau is no stranger to controversy. From chaotic relationships to viral scandals involving major celebrities and the infamous TanaCon, her entire brand thrives on drama. She's loud, impulsive, and unapologetic. Brooke Schofield, her co-host, balances her out. Brooke is the quieter counterpart, though equally unfiltered. She gained popularity through acting and social media, but skyrocketed in fame when she joined Tana on their podcast, Cancelled. Together, they formed a duo harnessing controversy as their fuel. Their podcast quickly became notorious for pushing boundaries, openly discussing taboo topics, and airing dirty laundry. Millions tune in every week, and their audience is deeply engaged. Fans feel personally connected to the duo's raw, chaotic authenticity, making every statement magnified. But with great influence comes risk. This incident in Belfast is more than just another scandal. It's a window into the power and danger of influencer culture. According to Tana and Brooke, the chaos started the moment they landed in Belfast. They stumbled upon a brawl outside the airport, which they described as the most violent fight ever. It was allegedly between rival soccer fans, Celtic and Rangers, who were drunk and aggressive. Brooke recalled them swinging at each other with such exaggerated, clumsy movements that at first it felt surreal. She said it looked like they were moving in slow motion. She and Tana laughed about it at first, like it was just another bizarre travel story. But then the mood shifted. One man got knocked out cold, hitting his head hard on the pavement. Brooke said, half joking, "I think he just died."
Hard on the pavement. I was like, I think he just died.
The casual tone they used shocked some listeners. But that was only the beginning. Tana said the streets of Belfast were filled with more fights. According to her, they saw people yelling, pushing, and drinking straight from bottles on their knees in public. It felt wild, she said. Belfast was crazy. And then there was the hotel incident. Brooke said she was trying to be friendly. She saw a woman walking with a baby and decided to wave. A simple gesture. But the woman's response was anything but simple. "God, you stupid ficking CNTs," she allegedly shouted at them. That moment left both of them stunned. "I was literally just waving at a baby," Brooke said. By the time they left Belfast, they had made up their minds. It was scary, violent, and unlike anywhere they had ever been. It didn't take long for the backlash to begin. Within 24 hours, clips began circulating on TikTok and X. Irish users were furious. Locals flooded the comments, calling the pair dramatic, disrespectful, and ignorant. Then it escalated. The Deputy Lord Mayor of Belfast, Paul Doherty, got involved. His statement wasn't just political, it was personal. "These comments in no way reflect the Belfast I know and love," he said in a public response. He described Belfast as a city of compassion, community, and creativity. "What I see every day is not chaos, it's compassion," he wrote. Belfast is a city of artists, musicians, storytellers, and community builders. He continued, "To reduce us to tired stereotypes is lazy and wrong." It was a strong message reclaiming the city's identity. Doherty emphasized the kindness of its people and the warmth that defines Belfast. In his eyes, Tana and Brooke reinforced a stereotype, and that was unacceptable. His response went viral. Irish citizens praised his defense of the city, sharing their own stories of warmth and kindness in Belfast, and creating a counter-narrative. A throwaway story on a comedy podcast had turned into a public controversy between celebrity influencers and a political leader. Here's where things get contradictory. After painting Belfast as a place full of street fights and verbal attacks, both Tana and Brooke, they celebrated it. They were raving about the live show in Belfast. Brooke said it had one of the best energies of the entire tour. Tana echoed that sentiment, calling the Irish crowd insane in the best way possible. They described fans arriving alone and leaving with new friends, girls holding hands, people hugging after the show. "It felt like we created a mini community," Tana said. It was actually beautiful. So how do you reconcile that with their earlier comments about a violent brawl, public drug use, and an angry woman shouting at them? Can one place be both terrifying and heartwarming? While, cities are complex, what rubbed many people the wrong way was how casually they switched between condemnation and affection. To critics, it felt disingenuous, like they were using Belfast as a punchline and then praising it for applause. To fans, it was confusing. Were they being honest or just entertaining? Some started questioning whether this was all a calculated narrative designed for clicks, an emotional whiplash disguised as storytelling. As the podcast clips began circulating, one thing became clear. The more extreme the description, the more attention it got. Let's talk about something Tana said that might be the key to this whole mess. In a quieter part of the episode, she mentioned a cultural observation. In America, when someone stares at you, you smile. And they smile back, she said. But in Europe, they just keep staring. It's so uncomfortable. It was a side comment, but it opened a floodgate. Maybe this wasn't just about Belfast, but a larger cultural disconnect. Tana and Brooke are American to their core. They're loud, expressive, and they perform. It's part of their brand. But when that energy lands in Europe, where people can be more reserved, things can feel off or even hostile, what Tana interpreted as rudeness might have just been social restraint. What felt like tension may have been silence, and what they saw as crazy might have simply been unfamiliar. But that nuance didn't make the final cut. What did? The fights, the insults, the chaos. Because that's what gets shared. Were they genuinely shaken by culture shock or just using the discomfort as raw material for a viral moment? The canceled podcast thrives on chaos. They didn't just talk about Belfast, they turned it into a character, a wild, unpredictable place that made for perfect content. To some, it felt like an authentic reaction. But that's not the Belfast of today. The city is a cultural hub filled with art, music, museums, and festivals. Statistically, Belfast is safer than many major American cities. Public fights between football fans happen, but they're not the norm. So what explains their experience? Bad luck? An isolated incident? Or were they playing it up? Was this all intentional? Tana Mongeau has made a career out of chaos. She knows how to take a scandal and spin it into a spotlight. She doesn't just survive controversy, she weaponizes it. And Brooke, while more reserved, has learned how to ride the waves of virality. She's smart, calculated, and knows when to play the stunned best friend or the fire starter. So let's look at the facts. They visit a city, witness an unusual event, have a tense interaction, and share the story in the most dramatic way possible. They frame the city as violent, then praise their audience to keep fans happy. The story goes viral, the deputy mayor responds, news outlets report it, TikTok explodes, and podcast listens skyrocket. If you were writing a playbook on how to turn a normal trip into a viral media event, this would be it. So was this journalism, trauma, or marketing? If it was marketing, it worked flawlessly, but at what cost to the reputation of a city and their own credibility? Tana and Brooke didn't just tell a story, they shaped a narrative. And whether that narrative was true or skewed, it left a mark on Belfast, on their brand, and on the relationship between creators and communities. This goes beyond a podcast episode. It's a reminder of how powerful words can be, especially when amplified by millions. It's about how personal experiences become public events, how a joke becomes a headline, and how a first impression can define a city. More than anything, it's about responsibility. In the age of virality, content isn't just entertainment, it's influence. The stories we tell say more about us than the places we think we're exposing. The question now isn't whether Tana and Brooke were right or wrong. The question is, what story will they tell next? And will we believe it? Or will we finally start asking, what's real and what's just performance?